G'day and welcome to ReDriven. Now, your first car is a massive milestone in life. And look, we normally recommend something that is safe and efficient and reliable. But what if you want something just a little bit different? Well, that brings us to this week's top 5 list. See, the cars in this list aren't necessarily the best cars in each of their category and not ones we'd normally recommend instantly. Don't get us wrong, they are all excellent cars, but they're often overlooked, hence why they're underrated. Now, as always with our top 5 lists, there are some rules we're going to stick by. First up, each of these cars are going to represent a different genre of car. So we've got a small car, a medium car, a small SUV, a medium-sized SUV, and something just a little bit spicy. Secondly, to be considered for this list, these cars have to be as internationally available as possible and affordable. So yeah, there are no Lamborghinis or McLarens, they just didn't make the cut. Anyway, here are our top 5 underrated first cars. Alrighty, kicking things off for the small car segment, it is the Suzuki Swift. Okay, yes, a Toyota Yaris, Mazda 2 or Honda Jazz/Fit are the logical and more commonly recommended choices, but the Swift offers up just the right amount of quirky difference while still being reliable, safe, practical and efficient. And look, before our American viewers start writing strongly worded comments due to the fact that the Swift never made it officially to the US, so therefore it doesn't meet our has to be as internationally available as possible rule, it feels like the US is about the only country in the world that never received this awesome little hatch, so therefore for us, it's international. The Swift we'd recommend for a first car is, look, really anything from 2005 onwards that has a full and thorough service history and is the newest and has the lowest possible kilometres for what your budget allows. Although we'd personally recommend against the diesel or CVT transmission models, just that the potential cost of maintenance might be a bit high for a first car with those examples. The Swift is not only a tough little nugget of a car mechanically, they feature a decent amount of safety equipment for the price of admission, they're relatively practical for such a small car, and they're really enjoyable to drive, especially if you snap up a Swift Sport. Plus, the Sport also has 17-inch alloy wheels, a really funky body kit, sportier suspension, keyless start, and climate control air conditioning. Okay, next up we delve into the medium car segment. And look, even though this is from a manufacturer that is very rarely considered ever to be underrated, we feel like this particular model is often overlooked. It's the Toyota Rukus or Rumion or Scion XB. Okay, the looks are definitely a love or hate affair, hence why it's so often forgotten. And look, yeah, we admit, on the standard wheels, it can look a little bit odd, but throw in a set of aftermarket rims and the street cred increases instantly. Even when compared to the more logical first car alternatives that we'd recommend in this category, like the Corolla or the Camry, the Mazda 3 or 6, Honda Civic or Accord, and Hyundai i30 or even Kia Optima, the funky looking Toyota just makes so much sense. Firstly, it makes great use of its square proportion in terms of practicality. It can actually almost be turned into like a little van if needed. And with the second row in its regular position, room in the back seat is excellent. Mechanically, look, it's typical Toyota in the sense that these are proving to be just as reliable as their near bulletproof siblings. It's loaded with airbags and safety gear, and what you get for what you pay is superb. And that's because these things are so often forgotten and therefore underrated. Okay, small SUVs are super popular right now, especially with first car buyers. And it feels like the Toyota RAV4 and the Mazda CX-3 are the go-to small SUVs of choice. And fair enough, like we would recommend those cars. But there's another small SUV that we're betting you've completely forgotten about. It's another Suzuki, it's the SX4. Suzuki are brilliant at creating quirky yet highly capable small vehicles, and the SX4 encapsulates these attributes. The SX4 we're talking about is the first generation in all-wheel drive form, and with its short overhangs and intelligent off-road mode, look, it can genuinely tackle some pretty serious terrain. Plus, well looked after SX4s are proving to be really reliable, parts are inexpensive, it has 5 doors so it is quite practical, although the boot isn't exactly the biggest in its class. It's loaded with safety equipment and multiple airbags to keep you safe, and it even looks cool, especially with some aftermarket wheels and all-terrain tyres fitted. Actually, while we're on the looks, here's a fun fact about the SX4. It was designed by the legendary Giorgetto Giugiaro. I bet I've butchered that. Why is he legendary? Well, he also designed the original Lotus Esprit, the DeLorean, and the gorgeous Ferrari 250 GT Berlinetta short wheelbase Speciale. So surely that means that the SX4 has a direct link to a multi-million-dollar classic Ferrari. Not bad for a first car. Okay, now in the medium to large SUV segment, this is another car that technically isn't available officially in the US, even though it has been available pretty much in every other country in the world, including Mexico and Canada. So if you're in the US and you want one of these, just give your neighbors a call. It's the Hyndai Terracan. So let's get the negatives out of the way first. Yes, these are getting on in age a bit. Parts availability can be a challenge depending on where you live in the world. They do lack in the tech department, and uncared for examples can be a bit of a lemon. But let's go through the positives. Because these are commonly overlooked, they seem to have dodged the incredible increase in what it costs to buy a larger SUV these days. Thanks to it being based on a Pajero platform, they can tackle some very serious terrain while still being well-mannered on the road. They're available with the choice of either a petrol or a diesel engine. They're pretty simple to work on and repair, and they have a really loyal fan base, so support is just a message away. And with a few accessories, they can look pretty bloody tough while tackling almost anything you throw at it. I actually have a neighbour that owns one of these things, and he's taken it across and around Australia multiple times, and he absolutely bloody loves this thing. In saying that, he has never missed a service, and it is maintained meticulously. But that's the trick with the Terracan. Look, yes, they are underrated, but if you're in the market for one for your first car, just make sure it has a full and thorough service history. Okay, before we get to the spicy option on this list, if you are enjoying this video, can you please do us a favor and hit those like, subscribe, and bell icon buttons, and after the video, go and check us out on the socials. Okay, this next category was a challenge because the cars that are out there for first-time buyers that want something a little bit spicier and a little bit more fun aren't exactly what we call underrated. Cars like the Miata MX-5, the Toyota 86, and really any performance Honda are just rated, and we do recommend them. But the car that we feel that suits this category that is hugely, hugely underrated is the Kia Cerato or Forte Koup. Okay, look, let's get something straight first up. Neither the first or second generation Kia Koup with either the 2-litre naturally aspirated or 1.6-litre turbocharged engine will offer the same levels of driver-focused dynamics as the MX-5, the 86, or really any sporty Honda. But in terms of what you pay for what you get, the Kia Koup is brilliant. First up, just look at it. Look, obviously looks are subjective, but both generations are just bloody attractive things. Plus, thanks to it being based on a sedan and hatch platform, the Koup offers genuine practicality, it's loaded with safety gear including multiple airbags, the ride and handling are generally tuned for their local markets, so while it might not be a fire-breathing weapon of a performance car, it is still a load of fun to drive, and it also is pretty comfy over the bumps. And then there's the price. Here in Australia, you can pick up a first-gen version of one of these things for as little as $6,500. Okay, look, we'd recommend budgeting for a bit more than that so you get a really good one, but even then, an expensive Kia Koup shouldn't set you back any more than about 15 grand. Plus, because the Kia Koup is so underrated, chances are they haven't been owned by a complete dickhead. So unlike the host of more obvious performance car alternatives out there, hopefully the Koup hasn't been thrashed to within an inch of its life. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and hey, as always, what did you think of the list? Let us know in the comments. And actually, what makes up your top 5 underrated first cars list? Again, let us know in those comments. And can you please hit those like, subscribe, and bell icon buttons? It does us a massive favor. And after this, go and check us out on the socials. See you next time. Normally, we would recommend you to scratch your nose because there's something going on with your sinuses, and there's a car going past. And a little bit spicier and a little. Okay, this next. What's going on, mate? What's going on? Actually, I've got a little bit of spit on my lip there. It's gross. Ugh, disgusting. Giugetto Giario. That was fucking terrible. The Suzuki SX4 has a thrashed to within an inch of its life. Why do I write this stuff? Hopefully the Koup hasn't been thrashed to within an inch of its life. Yes.